Welcome to your morning news here on the 1st of August 2024. I'm your host, Scott Young. I've got a three-man panel today. First of all, I introduce my co-host, David. David, how are you getting on today, mate?
How you doing, sir? How you doing?
I know bad, mate. And also joins us today, Jack. Jack, how you doing, mate, in this fine morning?
Aye, good, thanks, good. What about yourselves?
No
Good, mate,
bad, my man.
I'm slightly worried about the weekend, but we'll probably get into that at some point.
I'm sure we will.
I will get to that.
Busy news today. Kicking off, first of all, following the conclusion of the matches last night, Rangers can confirm the details of our UEFA Champions League third round qualifying tie with Dynamo Kiev. The away leg will play in Poland, obviously, because of what's going on in Ukraine at the moment, on Tuesday, 6th of August, 7 o'clock kickoff, UK time. And obviously, the home leg will be at Hampden, Tuesday, 13th of August, with a quarter 8 kickoff. First of all, David, what do you know about sort of Kiev and what can you sort of expect from them?
I mean, in that previous leg, I think it's safe to say they are unaffected by having to play in another country. They get past Partizan with what looks like ease. I don't know too much about their current players. Obviously, there's upheaval and in the country itself. But yeah, I think it's safe to say we're looking at a rather stern test against them, regardless of what they're going through both as a country and just the kind of the upheaval they've had as a club, having to move, etc. So yeah, I think it's going to be a tough one, but I'm not being pessimistic or anything, but being realistic, then yeah, if we've to go through, we're really going to need to be at the top of our game. New signings are going to have to, properly hit the ground running, and there'll certainly be a bedding in period for for anybody that comes in from now until the deadline.
Jack, we touched on this just before we start recording about the squad. Obviously, we'll get into some signings who look to be close, but whether they are in the squad will be a different story. How do you feel knowing that we've lost three sort of big key players from last season, Goldson, Seema and Cantwell? Well, obviously Cantwell's still here, but he's been bombed to the B team. Three of them probably won't play in Europe, and we haven't really replaced them. How do you feel about that and the fact we're going into big Champions League games without replacing three first teamers essentially from last season?
It's not really ideal because that's, as you said, it's three big players, three characters. They would have played last season, they players, if they were fit. Even as you seen with Goldson last season, he'd have played when he wasn't fully fit because we didn't have the quality to bring in. I'm going to be honest, I'm not feeling great about this game. That's a very impressive score they got in the last round. I don't know, Partizan if they're in some kind of trouble or they're no settled. But I don't think we'll be favourites for this game as it stands. Now, that could be wrong. We could bring in a couple of guys before this European window shuts in a couple of years' time. But I'm not feeling confident for it, unfortunately, lads. Sorry to sound so negative about it. But as you said, the three players, Cantwell might come back in. There's something weird going on there. But even at that, I don't know if that would be the difference. It could be somebody can maybe pop up with a goal or an assist in a game, but I feel like they might have a lot for us because they've done a bit of a number on Partizan Belgrade.
Yeah,
I don't blame you. No, sorry, I was just agreeing with Jack there. It's, as I say, it's like you're not wanting to be a pure downer, but I mean, if you're being just honest and realistic, I think the politest thing you could say is it'll be a challenge.
Yeah, 9-2 it finished in that over the two legs in those games. So, and we've got a centre half player on the John Soot and Ben Davies, so that's going to end well.
Fantastic.
Aye, that looks good to get that. Dynamo Kiev must be hinting about that.
God, if we keep it below 9, I'll be happy.
That's bad.
As you said, there's a difference between being negative and being realistic. I think, obviously, I don't know much about Kiev, and we've seen Rangers before in Europe. We can turn it on, but this might just be a slight step ahead. Like, no one expected us to go away to Benfica last season and get a draw. A lot of it expected to get battered and just took it back to Ibrox. But we were in the game, and obviously I think it's just fitness more than anything. That second leg against Benfica kind of just took it away from us. But you never know. Hampden could do us a turn.
We struggle against jobbers in the SPL at Hampden. I don't really fancy Kiev at this moment in time.
Man.
It's sad state of affairs. But sort of going on at Hampden, there was an update yesterday from the liaison officer about sort of the Hampden tickets and where you'll be seated and whatever else. The main sort of is supporters will be issued a print at home ticket or a QR code for each individual game. So that's the Motherwell game and the Ross County game. That's your 2 league games that you will, in your email, you'll get your QR code or the opportunity to print it out. And the information for the Kiev game, which obviously we just spoke about, it will be shared soon. This update came out yesterday before the Kiev result, so they weren't sure if it would be Kiev or Partizan or whatever, or whoever else. So you'll probably find an update on that next in the coming days about the Champions League game. But again, the Hampden thing has sort of been done to death. Will you be at Hampden for any of the games? You get season tickets or?
Yeah. The seating thing, I mean, the ticket office stuff, from what I've seen, as usual, they're getting a rather hard time, which, it's understandable because there's not been a lot of information up till yesterday. But, I mean, it must be a pretty hard job. You're trying to recreate the seating arrangements from Ibrox to a totally different layout. It's going to take time and, it's going to be difficult. I don't envy the ticket office or even the SLO because their inbox just must be an absolute chaos, man. But I mean, the information, I know that they had to wait for the away leg to be confirmed, where it was, who it was against and stuff. But yeah, with the Hampden thing, it must be a logistical nightmare. So it's hard to have any, kind of, criticisms. But I think they are getting a hard time though. So yeah, it's I'd rather not add to it. But see, as long as I've got a seat, then that'll do in the short term, as long as it is short term.
I don't really know what they can do. It's all right saying SLO, or I've seen people mention or the ticket office, but this is a nightmare for them. This isn't on them, this is on the board. This has been extra workload that's been put on them. I don't really know what else they can say apart for their side. It's saying, we'll just email you your QR code before they probably do it before the game to save as much greeting about it as possible, because you're not going to keep everyone happy now, because the difference, the only thing they've got in common is the capacity, because the difference in standard at the stadiums is night and day. It's going to be interesting. I've seen it they're saying about for the European game. It looks like it's going to be a first come first serve. I've not really been clear on how they're going to work that out with no CCCS. I think that's vastly unfair if you're at the moment in a certain area paying more money, but you could get whacked anywhere. I think if Dynamo Kiev were to beat us quite handsomely in the first leg, which could happen, I don't see them selling many tickets for that when you're not even going to have a clue where you're sitting for that. And see the cup game, I wouldn't be surprised if we just do that section by section, because that's not going to be a big seller at all.
You never know with these things. Like, I could very easily see the cup game first, the St Johnstone game. I can very easily see us selling 40,000 for that, because we always do it. Whether it's Hampden, Ibrox, fans will turn up for these games, especially as a cup. Everyone's talking about, we need to win trophies, whatever else. If you're saying we need to win a trophy, yet you have the opportunity to go to a cup game and support the team, and you decide not to take it, then I don't think you can complain about us not winning trophies, because you're not supporting the team in a cup competition. And on the Champions League one, it says CCS, but I don't know I'm not 100% sure of the terminology difference in CCS and MyJers. I'm assuming it's if you've got high MyJers points, then I'm assuming you will get first come first serve for that for the Champions League tickets. I'm not unsure the way it works out. Rangers got far too many systems in operation for these kind of things. But overall, I don't think there's much else they could have done rather than using the like your actual season ticket card. Using a QR code for a game probably makes the most sense.
Definitely.
Makes more sense. As I said, the one with the cup game, a lot of time people will buy the ticket but no go because you only need to, for the points and to keep you on the scheme for the semis and finals, you only need to purchase a ticket, you don't need to attend. I was going to say I don't know if they would change that, but I don't know how they would keep on top of that. It's hard enough to keep on top of that at Ibrox, never mind using another stadium system for that one, you know what I mean? 5:30 kick-off, and I think that might be a struggle, that one, for ticket sales at St John's game. I get what you're saying, would they normally go, but how many of them is it just a ticket purchased against the actual attendance? Because you do see it a lot when you go to the cup games, you've got a few seats round about you would never normally have round about you.
No, that's a good point.
Aye. It's mainly just want to see, just wait and see sort of thing. But to me, this is the best news that we've had all summer. Rangers have agreed a deal to sign FC20 captain Robin Propper, as reported by basically everyone. Sky, all the Dutch media, Romano's been saying it. So it's pretty much a fact that this deal's been agreed, and expect he's having a medical today. Hopefully get him signed, sealed, delivered in time for the European squad. But with Rangers, it probably won't happen like that. To me, this is what we've been screaming out for, a big commanding centre half. And I wouldn't be shocked if Tav leaves, he's made captain straight away. I think this is the guy Clement looks at as armband wearer for the season. I know some people will be saying you need to earn it, you need to play X amount of years at Rangers to be captain, but who else do we have other than maybe Jack Butland that can wear the armband? When you think about our squad. So, also, David, what do you know about the guy and what are your thoughts overall on the potential signing?
Admittedly, I only really knew his name until yesterday, but doing a bit of research and reading, he does seem a natural leader. He gets stuck in. I was surprised that I thought he was younger than he was. I was surprised he was 30, which is like a year's difference between him and Goldson. But the big difference is that he isn't showing signs of regression or injury history as well. So, I mean, I'm all for it. I think he's exactly what we need. I don't think he'll need that kind of, couple of games in the B team or, sitting in the bench the first few games. I think he'll be ready and willing to go from the start. I've never watched a full game that he's playing in. I'm relying on, online clips and stuff, which, obviously can sometimes be a tad misleading. But I think with this signing, I think we've won a watch. I think we'll get at least 3 years out of him. He seems to be at the top of his game. His teammates and other professionals speak highly of him from what I've seen. A couple of articles I had to translate, but I think they were clear enough that, when you're in the trenches, so to speak, he's kind of the guy that you want next to you. So, yeah, I don't know how long we've been scouting him or researching him or whatever as on the recruitment side, but I don't think it's like a snap decision. I think he's been one of the players where Clement said a few weeks ago that we've singled out players and we've confirmed that they want to come. We just need to get the money. So I think he's probably been on the low key for a few weeks, and we've finally been able to make it official. But yeah. We have been, the majority of us have been saying that we want a centre-back or maybe 2 centre-backs, so that's definitely a step in the right direction. I'm confident about this one. And yeah, I think it's exactly what we need. I know that we talk about this deadline tonight, but I think we are allowed 2 wild cards, as they call it, the night before the Kiev game. So I don't think it's like the be-all and end-all that everybody comes in tonight before 11 o'clock. I think we are allowed those 2 wild cards, but just to put us all at ease, and with the fact that it's Hearts in a couple of days, I would like to see another couple come in. But no, I would give credit to the recruitment team and the manager, because that is definitely a good signing. I don't foresee any problems with that one.
Jack, so I just touched on what David said at the start there. Do you start him against Hearts straight away?
It says more about us, but I don't want to play against Hearts with Ben Davies or Leon King. I could go with Suter and the new guy. I think that's what the partnership might be to start with it away, or Balogun and the new guy. And Suter, it'll be between they three, but I think the new player starts. If we get him. I know it sounds all complete, but as Rangers we're talking about here, something could turn up. We might make a mess of something. I've only ever heard of him through playing computer games and looking for defenders online on transfer markets. I'd never seen him, so I'd be lying to say I know anything about the guy. But it does look like that's the kind of leader or something that Clement has alluded to recently coming in. If Tavernier left, I'm not saying he would get the armband, but he would probably be in contention, because I'm no for the goalkeeper having it. Nothing against Butland in that sense, I just don't think, and especially with this new rule, only one outfield player can talk to the referee, because I heard Willie Collum was talking about this as well, so it would need to be an outfield player. And see, to be honest, I think apart from Tavernier, looking at the outfield players, I don't see, maybe Balogun, but he's not going to play every week, so he would be in contention for that as well. And to answer the question, I probably would put him in against Hearts.
Yeah, for me, Hearts, if let's say it's all signed, sealed, delivered, and he can play, I would play him and Balogun. I think folk know my opinion on John Suter. I don't think he's good enough. I think the amount of times I've seen him lose a man, get caught under the ball, things like that, I think John Suter kind of falls under the same category of someone that Stephen Whittaker used to fall under. Stephen Whittaker used to, when he was at Hibs, he'd have 2 good games every 5, and you could probably get away with that at Hibs. And then Whittaker came to Rangers. First few seasons, he wasn't great, and then obviously that the UEFA Cup run and everything else, he was good towards the end of that. I think John Suter falls under that category. He has 2 good games every 5 that you can get away with when you play with Hearts. I don't think you can get away with it. You don't get away with it when you play with Rangers. So to me, my centre halves would be Proper and Balogun, and hopefully we get another one, because hopefully it's Proper and another new one, because I don't think any of our centre halves are good enough to play 30, 40, 50, 60 league game in in whatever competition we're in, whatever else.
I think it was yourself who said to you the other morning that John Suter's contract, whatever it is, there's no another team that would give him the wages that he's at Rangers unless he's got a mad Saudi offer. John Suter must go to bed every night thinking, I've cracked it here. A bit like Whittaker, probably 15 years ago. You know, there's some players that end up at Rangers and Celtic for that matter. Must go, I've cracked it. And Suter's been lucky that Goldson's declined and Helander never came back for injury.
Next to him, Ben Davies is another one that's cracked it because he's on 30 grand a week apparently.
That's beyond cracked it. He's won the Euro Millions, that boy. That's what he's
set
won
for life.
And I remember there was a game I couldn't make last season, a home game I couldn't make. I forget what one it was. And I think it might have been Aberdeen one. Something came up at work and I couldn't make it. And Ben Davies knew what he was seeing, and then at half time he was selling whiskey. And I went, 30 grand a week to be a drinks convener. Right. What a number he's got.
That's right. He was the face for the whiskey brand, wasn't he? Whoever we were partnering with. There's been that many partners that you lose track. But that's right.
You don't need to worry about defending against Majovski the weekend. Just go and storm it up and bird and hold a bottle of whiskey.
I know. Unreal, man. Unreal.
You probably get to keep a bottle of whiskey, I know, knowing how lucky he is.
I know, he's probably got a few crates, mate.
He plays like he drinks it.
Maybe that's the problem. Maybe we should get away from that. Maybe that's what it is. I think he had a drink of that whiskey and he took the corner, the left back or left centre half, and took the corner in Prague. I think I drank a whiskey when I seen that.
No, he drives us to whiskey. Maybe that's why they use him as the face. You know what I mean? You see him and get flashbacks. You're like, shit, where's my whiskey?
Just get battered off Aberdeen at home and then, sorry, Ben, whatever his name is, try to sell me a bottle of whiskey.
Aye, on the subject of Davies, I would like to. I'm not being like it's not a personal vendetta or anything, but I think it's safe to say that the majority of us would rather he moved on. But as we've already said about John Souttar, the same applies to Davies, who's going to A, pick up his wages, B, look at his record here and think he'd be a good signing, and C, have him as a viable option other than maybe an emergency loan. And, would we need to subsidise his wages if he did leave? I think that's a rather obvious yes. So I'd rather he left, but yeah, I can see him still haunting us in terms of us having to pay like maybe 10, 15 grand towards his wages until his contract with us runs out. But hey ho, we remain to be surprised, I suppose. Stranger things have happened.
Maybe one of the Russian billionaires in Cyprus has drank a lot of vodka and thought he looks good.
I never know, mate. Never know. Trabzonspor, they seem to like a Rangers,
There seems to be a limit.
player.
There seems to be a limit, but there
Something
seems to
dodgy
be
with that.
Aye.
Something dodgy with that. Must be some form of I don't know, financial doping with them or something. There must be something up if they want to sign Lundstrom, Barisic, Tav, and if they end up getting Ben Davies and all, that needs investigated.
Aye, maybe they could take Scott, right? We'll give them a discount.
To be fair, good on Barisic and Lundstrom. They've probably got a right good contract out of that, so good on them. That's so good for them.
Ben Davies, and a 2 year of Ben Davies, so that's good to know. 2026, his deal's up.
What number he's
I'm
got?
only wondering, Stoke wanted him last season, but he said no. If he left, we would get Harry Souttar in, but he didn't want to leave, so that's why he's still here.
It's Rangers' fault. He doesn't want to leave.
I don't blame the boy. If Stoke can't pay him as much money as we are.
That's what I was saying. It's not like a personal thing. It's like you actually don't blame him for staying, whether he gets a game or not, because he's not the money that we're paying him. I would not imagine that he's going to get that anywhere else. You know what I mean? He's not going to, he's not going to rock up into a Premiership team and be a regular starter on, 40, 50 a week. He's as we've already said, he's got it made up here, whether he plays or not. I don't know what his situation is. I don't understand why he wouldn't want to go back to England. Could understand if it's like, somewhere completely out the blue and, like at the other side of Europe or even Saudi. But, just down the road, I think that's strange that he knocked it back. But at the same time, yeah, if it's for financial reasons, then the blame lies with us or the previous manager or whatever. But yeah, regardless of who it is, it's a Rangers problem. And if he's here for the next 2 seasons, I would not be surprised. It's very us, isn't it, right now? But remains to be seen, I suppose.
So I'm moving on from obviously that's not proper. Moving on to something that's not as concrete because it's according to the Sun. So take this with a pinch of salt. Rangers are apparently looking to bring former Chelsea midfielder Marco van Ginkel to Ibrox after he get released. Well, I think his contract expired at Vitesse in Netherlands. He's 31-year-old central midfielder. Can also play as a 10 if we need him to. I think this one and our next story sort of go hand in hand. But Jack, what's your thoughts on Van Ginkel first of all?
That we were the boy 10 years ago. Mourinho had in with maybe De Bruyne had left, but I think him and Christensen were seen as guys that were in about the squad and we played the odd League Cup game. Mourinho said they're ones for the future. They've never really had the career that Mourinho said they were going to have. I would be lying if I said I've kept up with his career, to be honest. Sounds like a decent name to pluck out of nowhere where we are now, with him being a free agent. If it's true, I would have a look at him. But I don't know enough, to be honest, to be getting in for him. As I said, I remember when he was younger, there was a prospect there, but I don't know if anything's ever came yet. And the fact he's a free agent at 31 for a no very glamorous team in Holland says a lot as well.
Yeah, I think with this one, I think midfield is obviously something that Clement is looking at. We had the Jordan debacle that's Kenny McLean's name's been chucked about, that kind of thing. David, would you look at midfielder, or would you think there's more pressing areas in the team? Like I mentioned, centre half before. Maybe sort of a lot of people say centre forward.
Yeah, I think now that we've got a centre half in, I would say it's equal priority between another central defender and midfielder. If Van Ginkel didn't have the history of injuries that he's had, I think he would be ideal. 31, played at a high level, played for Milan and Chelsea. Vitesse Arnhem, fair enough, they're not, the cream of the crop in Holland, but I think he had a decent, steady record there in terms of appearances. However, his injuries are a concern. They've blighted him since he was a young player. So it's not like wear and tear as he gets into his early 30s. He has had quite a consistent period of injuries wherever he's played. We are well known for players spending a lot of time in the treatment room. So I would be for it if he got a clean bill of health and, we could be positive that he was going to, get maybe not every single game, the 50, 60 games when you count in Cup in Europe, whatever. But if we could count on him for, to go on a good run, then I'd be totally for it. But it's the injuries rather than his ability that have me kind of, doubting it. As we've said, it's not, there's nothing from the club. We don't know if it's official, if it's true. It's from the Sun, It's not exactly a trustworthy source, a newspaper that's got a worse circulation than a granny in January. But it's it's if it happens, it's it'll obviously will support him, but his record with injuries would be a concern, especially up here as well. He's not going to get, opposition players would, they'll not think twice about going through him. So, if he signs, I would hope it's like after a very thorough medical. But I wouldn't have much faith in him, going a full season at least. When we need to count on having that experienced player in the middle of the park. So I mean, I'm on the fence, shall we say? But again, we don't know if it's even true.
Yeah, so I've gone on to the next story. This one's been kind of floated about recently. Hannibal Medry. I'll go on Hannibal because it's sitting there. I'm not going to get Hannibal from Man United. This one's sort of been murmuring for a while, and yesterday it came out that apparently we've agreed terms with the player. That wasn't my main concern. My main concern was the sort of structure of the deal, whether it be a loan or we need to buy him. But he's got a year left in his deal, and apparently he won't sign a new one. So I can't see Man United loaning them to us. But late last night, they came out Celtic went in for him, and I've put a bid in for him. Now, whenever I see Celtic and Rangers linked with the same player, I always think agent talk. It's his agent trying to speed up the deal and get more money out of us by saying Celtic want him. Jack, what's your thoughts on Hannibal? And I'll ask you this. Do you think Hannibal will be a Rangers player by September 1st?
I wouldn't be putting my house on it because, as you said, once Celtic's name gets mentioned, that's the agent playing tricks. And once that happens, they tend to beat us to this stuff, unfortunately. Even with squad players that mean nothing to Celtic, as we know, they have just went and done it. I would like Hannibal, but I've seen the clips and whatever. He looks a player. He looks quite cool. I could see him making a bit of a marker here. But and I wasn't aware of the year left in the contract. I thought he was like a Man U player for a few years and he was going to give him a year loan. And then he's no way to sign a deal there. I don't know what's really going on there, to be honest. I mean, this might be controversial, but see, like if we did sign Kenny McLean or Fleck get injured, Fleck was to get fit and get a deal, you know what you're getting with players like that. I don't think you really know what you're getting with Hannibal at all. You know, like how he would settle and stuff like that, and the fact that Man U are quite happy that he's got a year left and seem to be willing to let him go. And talking to clubs in Scotland means he's not exactly the most sought after.
It was us in Copenhagen with the two sort of names linked.
Yeah,
David,
Copenhagen have apparently... Sorry, mate, I was just going to say Copenhagen have apparently offered the full money up front, I believe. But I think it's the player himself that's reluctant to go to Denmark. in terms of my personal opinion, I'm not 100% on him. However, since the last conversation we had on the podcast about him, I have turned a bit. I don't believe that us and Celtic are battling it out. I think the issue is that we've offered a deal that Man U aren't completely happy with, despite the fact that the players agreed terms with us. I thought perhaps the player, wanting to come would be half the battle. If he's decided that he wants to come here, then Man U might have softened a bit. I'm not sure if we have offered anything. Then I'm not sure what the deal is, but there was talk of us taking him and still paying the fee inside his contract, next year. I saw that being touted, which I don't know if it's crazy or if it's shrewd. I can't really decide. I'm not sure if we're wanting to look at an instalment deal or if eventually we'll just come up with the money. But he doesn't, as Jack's already said, he's not exactly in demand if it's us in Copenhagen. I don't think it's it doesn't seem to be a Europe-wide battle for his signature. But yeah, I think the Celtic thing, if there is solid interest from us, I think the Celtic thing's just been kind of dangled there by an agent to ruffle some feathers. I don't think I don't know if Celtic even need him. But if they did, then we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think that's probably agent talk to speed either us or Copenhagen up, or Man U even. But yeah, in terms of the player himself, I would say I think he will. I think he'll be a decent signing, but I don't know if he's exactly what we're looking for. But again, it remains to be seen both if it's true and how it works out if it is.
Well,
that's true, really.
Sorry, Jack.
So as you say, the fact that it's Rangers, Copenhagen and Celtic allegedly interested, I think that kind of shows it's no lower end of the Premiership. Teams you'd expect normally to be linked with a Man U player who's no getting a game, or other European leagues. Only thing I'd take if Celtic were linked with it might mean they're losing one of their better midfielders. That would be a bonus, because
maybe they're looking at him as a
they're well ahead
replacement.
They're well ahead of us in that department in the midfield.
Well, maybe looking at him as a Matt O'Reilly type replacement, or as you say, it's just Celtic have no interest in him, and it's just agent trying to speed us, Copenhagen or Man United up.
If he's
we don't really know, and we'll probably find out.
Oh, sorry, I was going to say if he's a Matt O'Reilly replacement, I'd be happy with that.
True.
Well, that wraps it up, gents. Cheers for joining us, David. First of all,
no worries, buddy. Thanks for having me. No worries. Cheers for having me, as always.
Jack, cheers for coming on, mate.
Thanks very much, Scott. Thanks very much, David. Good to see you again, Trips.
Aye, good to see you again, Jackie boy. Good to speak to Scott for the first time. Well, on the podcast anyway. That was rather enjoyable. Exactly. I enjoyed that, guys. So I shall see you hopefully soon.
Cheers for watching, everyone. We're back tomorrow.